So I just finished a Q4 mastermind for our own advisors in a basic client event, and one of the things we talk about has a lot to do with energy management, right? And so if you think about like what selling is all about, right, is that it's actually a transfer of beliefs. And you know, if the prospect believe actually what you believe about the product, they will most likely buy, right? And so what are beliefs, right? Then beliefs are just basically thoughts, and thoughts are essentially energy. And so if you think about it, then sales is a transfer of energy. Now the thing here is that, you know, a lot of times when you're doing sales, people care a lot about like script, the processes, the systems, and yes, all those are important. But if your energy is low or you're in the wrong frequency, meaning say that you're more negative, right? You have maybe you're more of a victim mindset, or maybe maybe that day you had a bad day, right? And so if your energy is not being taken care of or managed properly, then it's going to affect a lot of like the sales that you're supposed to close, right? Sometimes you might have faced this before where if your energy is low and then you start to realize that, okay, you know, cases that are supposed to close, you didn't close, prospect starts to postpone your appointments, you know, then bad things or not so good things just starts to happen one after another, right? And it has everything to do with basically energy. Okay, and so in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3-part energy framework, all right? How to manage your energy, and more importantly, why it is so important in helping you get more sales, right? And help you earn more money as well. Okay, so enjoy the video and let me know in the comments what you think. The next part here that I've seen, you know, really in the people who've done well in Q4 and generally speaking, of course, in the business, in life, is the second thing, which is what I call energy management, right? And this is, again, not some woo-woo stuff, right? There are practical science to this, right? But the second part is energy management. And this is what I found to be very, very true, in that, like, it's crazily important. You know, like, sure, you can have the positive mental attitude, but then the second thing is like, you got to have the right energy to carry out the actions, right? Because at the end of the day, without actions, you know, all these are just ideas, all these are just like, quote unquote, quantum manifestation, you know, or in our Singaporean terms is, or in the industry term, we call mental masturbation. You know what I mean? You just think good, feel good, but then nothing happens. Okay, so actions needs to be done, and action requires energy. Okay, so just now earlier on in the video, when we first started off the entire session, was about this, right? Where you have basically this big head over here, and this is like your body, and then basically you have your paradigm, but I like to call it your subconscious, it's all the same thing. And then you have your conscious mind, right? And essentially what happens here is that, you know, you always have basically taking in energy and equally at the same time giving out energy. So you're giving and taking in energy. This is essentially what happens on a day-to-day basis, right? Even now in this mastermind, in this event that we're having here, right? All of us here, including me, right? Obviously, giving out energy, and we're receiving energy as well, right? And so energy is like important not only because like it helps us do things, but also it actually helps us to earn more money, right? Because if you think about like sales as a whole, you know, when you talk about sales, let's just talk about sales, right? It's like you have the prospect over here, right? This is the prospect, and then this is you. Now, amongst other things like the products, etc., you know, that need to buy, fit the needs of the F&A, whatever it is, right? The whole point, right, is that in order for sales to happen, right, your prospect basically need to be, it's basically there are two types of beliefs, right? There's number one, you're the advisor, right? You have certain type of belief. You believe that insurance is important. Yes. You believe ILP is good. You believe X, Y, Z. You have certain beliefs. And the thing is that your prospect right now might not believe it, right? They might not even know about it. And so essentially, what happens here is that you're trying to transfer your beliefs over to them. Make sense? Because if you think about it, do we all agree that if our prospects truly believe all the things that we believe, and they know all the things we know, they will probably buy the things that we sell them. Yes? If they believe that insurance is most important, you know, just like how you believe it, you'll probably buy, and they'll probably buy. And so that's why you think about sales. Sales is about transfer on belief. And if you really think about it also, what are beliefs? Right? Beliefs are just ingrained thoughts, right? Or like thought processes, basically. Right? And all thoughts are basically energy or particles. Make sense? Right? And so at the end of the day, we are still dealing with energy. And so we can say that, hey, you know, sales is basically a transfer of belief, or sales fundamentally is a transfer of energy. If you do not believe in yourself, or you do not believe that the product you're selling, or the job, the career that you're in as a financial advisor, if you truly do not believe that you have pride, that is important, that is you're doing great noble work, your prospect will not believe you as well, will not believe it. Make sense? I'll tell you this story, right? So there was this guy. Okay, I don't know if you guys have seen, basically I have this playbook that I usually only give out to managers, etc., right? But essentially what happens here is that we have this, the first stage of, okay, y'all know what's the first stage of advisory. What's the first biggest problem when you guys first started out? Tell me, what's the first big problem when you guys first started out in the advisory the first biggest problem within every single advisor that first started, right, is this whole problem of not being proud to be an advisor or not being proud to be a salesperson, in short. And so they lack all the conviction in telling people that I'm an advisor, that I'm here to sell, I'm here to help you, etc. They're all very scared of that. All of us have been through that. I remember when I first started, the only thing that I keep saying, telling people when people ask me what I'm doing, I always tell them I'm doing an internship. Makes sense? I'm doing an internship, because internship seems to soften the blow of being a financial advisor. It's like I'm just trying things out. And when someone doesn't overcome that belief or like this problem of being proud and fully having conviction that you are doing good and you're doing great work for the people around you, it doesn't matter what kind of skills that you have. And to bring the point across, we have spoken, I think at this point in time, team myself, we've spoken to more than 4,000 individual advisors over the last 5 years, directors all included, anybody from 8 weeks RNF to people who are 31 years in business, COT, TOT, all top people. And I can tell you that there's this guy, there's 3 people that I've seen so far. Okay, I shall not mention names. They're about 12 years in the business, okay? And they came on a call with me, and obviously I'll find out about the situation, etc. And one of the questions I always ask is how much production are you doing? Because I need to know which stage of the business they're at. And these 3 advisors, and let's just talk one of them. He gave me an answer that I was so shocked. May I guess? He's about 12 years in the business. 12 years. May I guess? On average, the last 12 years, what's the average FYC this fella earned? Pure FYC? 12. Yes, 12K FYC every year. Average. Yeah, almost like contract maintenance, right? Yeah, 12, 1, 2. Yes, 1K FYC a month. Yes, for the last 12 years. Now, what's shocking is not the production. Purely FC. Purely FC. Yeah. What's shocking, right, is not the FYC. What's shocking, right, that this fella is able to stay in the industry for 12 years doing 12K FYC. Yeah, how many of you, if you, after 6 years, you've been earning 1K FYC a month after 6 years, how many of you will actually still stay in the industry? And so what happened, right, was very simple. The reason for that, right, is because the advisor I was speaking to is a he, by the way. He felt very scared. He felt he was pestering people. Makes sense? He felt like when he approached people, he felt like he was bringing more harm or causing more nuisance and disturbance to the people around him than actually thinking that he can provide them a service and that he can do well. And by extension of that, there's one thing that he felt undeserving. Makes sense? He felt undeserving. And I think the feeling of undeserving probably can be felt amongst a lot of us as well, right? You feel like we don't deserve certain things. And it's the same thing over here. And this is the reason why, right? Going back to the point that you got to have true belief in the things that you do, because if you don't, then it affects all kinds of sales, no matter how well you execute the sales process, right? No matter how well you execute the 500K concept, for example. And so that's that. And that's why, first of all, I just have to say this first. You got to give it to them also. Because one of the things, right, is that if you look on the flip side, if that you are earning 12K FYC for a year, for 12 years, 13 years, 15 years, for example, right, and you stay in the industry, right, I think you also got to give credits to these people, right? Because they're willing to persevere and stay there as well. Makes sense? Right? And so I think that's the other side of it as well. Okay? And, honestly, for them, was just breaking that belief. Because once they break those beliefs and change their energy pattern, they will do a lot better. And so that's why it's amazing, and then how things could change the more we break some beliefs, right? And going back to this, that's why energy is really important, not only for sales, it's for sales. And then generally speaking, like I said, the energy that you take in and also give out creates your reality. Right? And one more important things to understand is that, you attract who you are and not what you want. And so what's more important is to make sure that your energy as a whole, at this being over here, this box over here, right? The energy is good. Okay, it must be a plus. Right? It might not dip in your subconscious yet, but you at least every day you want to have positive energy that is coming in, that you're receiving good stuff every single day. Right? Because the more good things you have, you receive, the more positive things that you put out, and by extension that you attract the things, not because of the things that you want, but you attract things because of who you are. Okay? And I just want to break this and reinforce this one more time, right? Which is this. You can say you want MDRT. Remember? You can say you want MDRT, this is what you want. But if your entire frequency, okay, if I draw this, your entire frequency is all red, which is all negative, do you think you will attract what you want? Probably not. Definitely not, in fact. So it's not only about what you want. That's one part of it, right? Which is why you guys do vision board, etc. That's important. But if you start to realize that, hey, why are you not getting the things that you want on your vision board? It's because you're this entire being, who you are, right? This is the being. This is the be, right? And this is the what, or the have. Make sense? You got to have both. Yes, you got to know, yes, number one, what you want, right? Which is what you want, the having over here. But equally at the same time, you also got to change the being. And to change the being, you got to make sure you're in good energy. That makes sense. Right? And that's why energy management is crazily important. Now, that being said, one of the things that I want to talk about when it comes to energy is, and these are things that I discuss a lot with like quantum people, how the COT folks, QT, etc. Right? These are things that we have conversations about to make sure that we have high levels of energy, right? Because just to reiterate the point, energy gives us what we want. And therefore, in order for us to have what we want, we need to change the energy. The question is, how do we change, or how do we have more energy in a very sense? And so this is where there are three parts here, right, when it comes to energy management. So the first part, so think of it, right? Energy, so let me draw you here. Okay, so there are three parts here. Now the first one is what I call physical energy. Okay, first one is what I call physical energy. Now, physical energy, and in fact, for physical energy is one of the most important one because it can solve a lot of problems that you guys are facing on a day-to-day basis. Example, right? I can't remember who, but I think Kelly was sharing with me that some of you here are facing some of a sales rut. Yes, feel a bit like in a rut, feel a bit burnt out, etc., etc. Right? A lot of those things can be solved if you really look at your physical energy. So physical energy will mean things like things that you actually do. Example, okay, exercise, right? Do actual exercise. And even if you break down exercise, there are really a few key things to exercise, right? There's basically your cardio, so running, jogging, walking, etc. Right? There's strength training. And then of course, there's your stretches, right? So I call it like flexibility training, right? So cardio, strength, flexibility, right? Are you doing these three things, or are you even exercising? Because exercising does wonders. And in fact, some of you might not be like, maybe you guys are like, okay, but I'm not looking to lose weight, I'm not looking to blah, 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 so on and so forth. But it doesn't matter whether you're going to lose weight or not. That's not the point. The point of exercising, right, is so that you feel good about yourself. Make sense? Right? And the moment you feel good about yourself, guess what happened? Energy change. Agree? And that's the most important thing. And in my opinion, I would even go one step further and say that, and here's the unfortunate, and let me just put it in this way. Here's the unfortunate truth also. I think I can't remember I shared the other day. Just yesterday or the other day. And I said this, right? I said people who are more handsome, look prettier, have six-pack and fitter, just tend to do better. Generally speaking, they're more favored by the world. That makes sense? I don't like the truth, but it is what it is. Okay? This is how reality works in this world. Make sense? And so if you guys are really doing well, like if you guys are not in the best shape, you guys are not like the most handsome, not pretty or whatever, and you guys are really doing well in sales, can you just imagine how much better you do if you just focus on like the health side of things, looking better, dressing well, etc. Just imagine that, right? Because as much as I don't like the fact, but here's the truth, all of us could have value over here, right? All of us could have value. I just put it here. All of us could have value, right? We can help them with all the CHFC, the planning side of things. But this value in of itself is not enough, because the other one is perceived value. This is the other major part of how to make more money and how to be successful, right? Because the thing is if it doesn't really matter as much how much value you truly have. It matters, of course. But the thing is that if people perceive that you are not someone that is of value, of standards, of a certain caliber, they wouldn't even want to talk to you, or they would, don't hang out with you as much. Make sense? And so my point is like a lot of us, especially in AS, we focus a lot on the value that we are providing. Yes, the building of the things, the upgrading, etc. One of the things that we want to pay a little more attention on is perceived value. How are you being perceived? I was sharing the other day, right? I will say, hey, you know what? If you have Rolex, you probably want to wear the Rolex. Now, it's not about being flashy, makes sense, right? It's about the very fact that you are signaling certain sort of success, right? You want to dress better, you want to look better. All these things plays a part, okay? And I'm telling you guys, if you guys are already doing well and doing decent and you're not dressing up, etc., imagine if you do that, how much more money do you think you have? Okay? And that's really the case. Especially in an industry where people buy people, yeah, they will really buy who you are and what you dress and how you dress. Okay? Anyway, back to the point, right? Exercising is one of the key things to making sure that your energy is kept up. Now, here's what I would actually suggest. Okay? I would say that minimally, you're going to do about 3 to 4 times a week. I would say 3x is the minimum. 3x is the minimum. That's what I would really suggest, like bare minimum. If you only do once a week, is good, but that's not going to be enough for the kind of sales appointments and everything else that you're going to go for, right? Because guys, remember, we are in the line of doing sales, and in the line of doing sales, we need to talk to people. Talking to people requires energy. All agree? And so the thing here is that you got to have energy yourself in your own freaking body. And the way to do that is to just exercise. Now, pro tip. 2 pro tips. First pro tip is this. What I usually like to do is this. On days where I have a lot of appointments, a lot of sales calls, for example, where I need to talk to people, that's where I purposely will make sure that I will exercise. Make sense? If let's say I know that today I've had 7 calls, right? 5 sales calls, 2 meetings, whatever, that day I'll definitely make sure my exercise will happen on that day. Now, there are certain days, some of us, we don't have meetings, right? We don't have appointments, we just stay at home, do nothing. Yeah, you can, if you only go to exercise 3 times a week, and you should just put it on days where you have appointments. Because when you exercise, you show up for yourself, you feel good. When you feel good, your body chemically also feel good. Then, when you go for appointments, it helps a lot. Make sense? Okay? And so when I have a lot of appointments, on that day, I don't even do much deep work or anything. I just wake up earlier, just give time myself, really whack the exercise, and then I feel like a champ, and then I go from there. Cool? So, 2 things. Number 1, 3 times a week, and put it on sales or meeting days. Right? If you really have not enough time, I would suggest this is a great combo. If you guys are really so lazy, and let's say, for example, sometimes life gets in the way, right? I get it. Life gets in the way. Don't forget, this is the person talking, right, was also the person that once went from 84 kg to 104 kg and was obese at a point in time, right? And so take it from the person who is then fat, or was then fat, right? And so and I hired PT, right? This is called Preston. It's been with me for a while already. So the easiest one he always tell me is just go for 10K steps. That's about it. Just walk. Period. Just walk. Right? And so if there are some days that you're just so lazy, there's really no time, maybe bad things happen, whatever, just go and walk. Cool? This is like the bare minimum you want to do. It might not be 10K, it could just be 5,000 steps, it's fine. Right? Just go and freaking walk. That's period. Full stop. Right? Every night, like me and Kelly will just walk within the condo sometimes, just after meals. Just keep walking. Right? It becomes a habit. I mean, so please make sure number 1 is exercise. Okay? So that's one way to keep your physical energy up. Now, second way that's important is diet. Okay? Diet. Right? And so I'm not here to preach what diet is good, right? All I can say here is that the big no-nos, or rather have to be in moderation, is just really your usual, anything that is processed, sugary, or high in fats. I think specifically seed oils, right? That's about it. That's more or less about it, right? Yeah. Like, it's okay to eat, by the way, guys, because we have to entertain clients, etc. It's totally fine. All I'm saying here is that, generally speaking, if like your diet definitely affects your energy. Okay, so one of the things we always thought in Quantum was we care a lot about food. And so even if you like speak to Fred, for example, right? Yeah, like we are very selective with the food as much as we can, right? Of what we eat, because we need a lot of energy to run. Okay, so generally speaking, of course, you want to have higher protein, moderate or lesser carbs. That's about it. Now, of course, everybody is different, but having more protein cannot do you wrong. Okay, so that's basically that, right? Just make sure you keep it clean, etc. Now, one thing though, I don't know about you guys, but one thing for me, right, is that carbs is always a big thing, is a big ass burden for me, right? So on days where I have a lot of sales appointments and calls, right, I try not to eat carbs. Because after I eat carbs, right, literally my whole body slows down. Like my brain fog, everything all slows down, right? And it makes it so much harder to work. And just for fun fact, right? Anyone did fasting before? Like a 24-hour fast, or at least a 16, 18-hour fast? Then later Pizza Hut, well, we got no appointments today. Later Pizza already can chill. Right, you deserve it. You just did one, okay, yeah, okay, fasting, right? Okay, great. So if you guys have actually done fasting and you guys don't eat for the whole day, a lot of people feel like actually energy dips. In fact, right, your energy actually goes up when you actually fast and you don't have food inside your body. And the reason for that is very simple. Because when you are this cute little human being here, you eat food, your body actually requires energy to break down the food. Make sense? It actually requires energy to break down the food. And so you're actually taking out energy to break down the food to give more energy, which is a bit ironic, right? And so that's how like fasting works, and it clears your body, so on and so forth. Now, the second thing about carbs, right? I won't go too deep into this, but the thing about carbs, you guys need to know, right? It's very simple. Carbs increase your glucose and therefore increase like insulin levels, right? And basically, when all this thing happens, that's where like you get food coma, etc. That's basically about it. Which is why every time you eat something sugary, you eat something sweet, and worse, you eat something fried plus sweet stuff, like, dude, you sure KO1. Okay? Yeah, sugar spike, you crash, and then you know what happens? Your recovery is, we have this thing called, your body cannot recover or cannot recover efficiently. Meaning, say, let me ask everybody here. Any one of you felt tired, you slept for 8 hours that same night, very good sleep, but then when you wake up, you still feel tired? Anyone? Have? Yes. Always me, always me. Okay, great. I would strongly suggest, if you already have adequate sleep, start looking at your food. Start looking at your food. Okay? That's like, this is something that's very, very important, right? Because like, you could really sleep a lot, and then your body can still not, you still feel tired because your body has not recovered. Then the question is, why your body has not recovered? Because your body is trying to process the processed food, the sugary, and all the seed oils and stuff like that. Make sense? And so that's why you get into this entire vicious loop. Okay, so something to take note of, right? Because it's not that sleep can solve everything, because diet plays a part. Okay, I would suggest buy some trackers. Anyone use those health trackers? Right, I think there are a few ones in the market. There's Whoop. I think some Garmin one. I think Sam was using Garmin. Me and Kelly use Aura Ring. For all this, we recommended all use Aura Ring. Yeah, use Aura Ring. Right, it's been really great. Right, you guys can go check it out. Yeah, I don't think we got discount code, but yeah, check it out. Right, so Aura Ring, a bit pricey, but I can tell you worth every single cent. I've been using it for the last 3-4 years already. Me and Kelly. Yeah, it's been really helped with the recovery, and that's how we get to know all these things. Okay, so basically we covered energy, physical energy is exercise. Number 2, diet, and then number 3. Okay, that's where we look at sleep. Okay, so sleep, guys, obviously is important. And I know everybody sleeps. But here's a few guidelines. By the way, guys, whatever I'm sharing now is literally what I shared with the people at the top who want to make miracle happen in Q4. Okay, yeah, these are things that people always talk about, processes and systems. Yeah, nobody talks about the personal side of things, which is your energy, right? So you got to fix yourself first before you can actually really get the business that you want to build and the sales that you want to have. Okay, so sleep, few things. Number 1, duration of sleep. 7 to 8 hours, right? Whatever that works for you, 7 to 8 hours, right? I think minimally should be 6 hours, but on average, 7.5. Find out what works for you. Now, if you're sleeping 10 hours a night, I mean, I don't have any issues with it, but if I think 10 hours is a bit too long, unless you really have been very, very tired, it's been you're depressed or whatever, then maybe 10 hours is a bit long. It should be good, right? But generally speaking, Aura Ring discount code. Okay, there we go, Kelly. Yeah, you guys want to buy, you can use it. Okay, so 7 to 8 hours, that's duration. Now, number 2, right, that people don't care about is quality of sleep. Quality of sleep. Okay, guys, quality of sleep. That's important. Okay, so what affects quality of sleep? Number 1, temperature of your room. The colder your temperature of the colder your room is, the better it is for your body, because it cools down. Number 2, make sure that your entire room is blackout. No lights, no whatever it is. Must make it blackout. That's number 2. Okay, if whatever reason you can't have it blackout, buy those eye masks, right? Me and Kelly, we use this brand called Manta mask. Yeah, I bought all 4 versions of it. It's pretty good. Yeah, I use it for power naps also. Right, so blackout. Okay, number 3, what affects quality of sleep is also how long you take to wind down. How long you take to wind down, right? Meaning to say that if let's say you aim to sleep at 11 p.m., like fall asleep at 11 p.m., you need about 60 to 90 minutes, right, of not work and not using social media. Or at least don't think too much about work, so on and so forth. You need about 60 to 90 minutes, okay? 60 to 90 minutes. Okay? Because if you don't, then what happens is that there's this thing called RHR. RHR stands for resting heart rate. Meaning say that your body could be asleep, but your mind is being busy. Make sense? And I'm sure every one of that, all of us have been through that. Make sense? It's like you're very tired, but then you've been thinking of all the problems, right? Or maybe just before you sleep, you quarrel with your partner, that kind of shit, right? Your resting heart rate goes up while you're sleeping, and it affects your sleep as well, right? So that's number 3, right? Wind down. Typically for winding down, I don't know what you guys do. Me and Kelly, we always like to do stretching, reading books. That's about it. Occasionally, we'll watch YouTube, but the YouTube video that we watch, right? I don't know if anyone heard of this YouTube channel called Outdoor Boys. You know, people do camping in the storm, in the winter kind of thing. Yeah. Me and Kay will just watch this guy starting out his tentage, in the winter, because it helps us to relax a lot more, right? But that's what I do, right? I do the wind down. Okay, now, number 4. Before the time that you sleep, food consumption. So obviously, I already mentioned food consumption in 2 areas, right? The first one is if you eat a lot of sugary food, blah, 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 it affects your recovery overall, right? So it's quality of food. The other one is duration of food, meaning to say, right, that you want to at least have 3 to 4 hours before you want to eat at least 3 to 4 hours before you sleep. Make sense? So let's say you sleep at 11 p.m. You want to latest you want to eat at 7:30 or 8 p.m. Okay, that affects recovery and your sleep. Okay, so that's duration, and then there's obviously quality of sleep. Now I won't go into other things like ergonomics, right? What kind of bed you need to have, blah blah blah, whatever. I think those things I don't worry about that too much now. But generally speaking, if you can look at duration and quality, which are all these factors, you're good to go. Okay, you're good to go, right? And so so I think it's one of the most important things, and it's very, very underrated. Okay, so that's for sleep. Any questions for the sleep part? No? Good? Yeah, okay, great. So I realize these are very personal issues, personal problems that we need to fix, right? Because all business problems are personal problems. Why can't you sell better? Why can't you focus better? Why are you not, having more energy? Yeah, because you're eating the wrong shit, you're not exercising, and you're not sleeping well enough. Agree? Which affects everything else that you're going to produce. So you should start working on those things as well. It's boring, right? Nobody talks about this on social media because it's boring. Everybody wants to talk about, like 5 ways to get prospects and close high net worth cases. Everybody likes to talk about that. But no one wants to talk about this because it's boring. But it's the most important one. Okay, so that's physical energy. Right? So please take care of the 3 things: exercise, diet, and sleep. If you can nail these 3 down, you're good to go. Okay, you're really good to go. Yeah, everybody who wants to play at a higher level and wants to make Q4 great at the very least, right? Always have to do these things. Always. Okay, so that's that. Now, number 2, the second type of energy they want to take care and care a lot about, right, is emotional energy. What does emotional energy mean? Very simple. This one is a lot simpler than a physical one, actually, or rather simple to explain. So think about emotional energy, right, guys, is this. It's basically what's your current state of mind. And your current state of mind could be affected by a few things. Meaning, say, like number 1, it could be affected by work itself. Maybe, for example, one of your clients say that I want to buy from an advisor, right? And this prospect is actually your best friend. Then hurts, right? It hurts you emotionally. Okay, then you get screwed from there. So there's work. Secondly, is outside of work. So this is your personal life. Example. Maybe you have quarrel with spouse. Maybe you have kids from. Maybe family, right? Maybe health or family members, so on and so forth, right? Or maybe, for example, if someone just broke up with you, God forbid, but someone breaks up with you, then you're definitely going to get affected. Make sense? And no matter, how much positive mental attitude you have, right, you're going to affect your energy, And that's why, like, emotional state is very important. And one of the things that I always tell people when you're dealing with Q4 is to freaking cut out all the freaking drama there is, at least for the time being, right? And so this a lot of emotional state, right, within work is either your clients, your colleagues, or your leaders. Yeah. It's either one of these 3 groups of people, which is basically environment, right? Your clients, your colleagues, or your leaders, right? Talking about like politics, etc. Yeah, dude, when you have politics and shit like that, it drains you. Okay, it drains you. And you don't want to do it anymore. And if any of you are agency leaders here, right, yeah, please take note of this emotional state management or energy management. Okay, it's extremely important. Okay, yeah. So guys, this is like crazy important. Okay, so emotional state. Right, it's the second one. So please cut out drama. TLDR, action steps. Cut out drama. Get good exercise. Sleep more. Sleep better. Right, etc. Okay, that's really important. In fact, a lot of times why people switch agencies, and obviously we have conversation with some of you guys and past clients, right? Yeah, it's because of energy. It affects how you feel. It affects how you behave. Okay, so physical, emotional. Okay, now let's cut it out. Okay, yeah. Oh, by the way, some of your friends, personal friends, some of you have personal friends that might not be the best people to hang out with. Yeah, just move on, okay? Okay, I wouldn't say cut them out, I say prune them. Okay, start pruning because the environment is everything. So physical, emotional, done. Last one, when it comes to dealing with energy, is this. Okay, it's basically your mental. Mental, MENTAL, is your mental state. Okay, and mental state for us, the way we look at it specifically is going back. So mental state, have 2 parts here, right? Is how big / what's the size of your vision, and how clear you are on the vision, right? And you can replace vision with goals. Doesn't matter. You can use it interchangeably for this context, right? So do we have clear goals? We have clear goals. Number 1, which is basically like what are goals you exactly want to achieve, and then number 2, why you want to achieve them. That's basically about these 2 things, right? Like you gotta have clarity on the goal that you want to go for, because if you don't, then you're just basically having a bunch of energy or doing things working towards nowhere, and that's a sad way to live life. Okay, anyone have burnout before, or any one of you have heard of people getting burnt out, or they use the term burnout? Yes, anyone? Yeah, burnt out, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, so a lot of times people think that burnt out is associated with working hard or working long hours. That is actually not true. The reason why burnout happens is because you are this amazing human here that is working, but then there's no end goal. Either there's no end goal, right? So there's no clear goal, Or number two, guys, or number two, the goals are not yours. The goals are not yours. So if you're not working towards a goal and you're just working for sake of working, then clearly there's a very simple explanation of why you get burnt out. Now, the second one is a bit more complex, which is, what do you mean? You might be asking, Ben, what do you mean by goals are not mine? Oh, very simple. And this is more common than you think. And you guys might have the wrong goals. See, yeah? Goals that are not yours would look like, for example, it's like, I hear MDRT already. Hey, I think since you're so close, I think you should do COT. Now, maybe have no interest in doing COT. Zero interest. Right? You just want to be happy with wife, earn money, good money, and we're done. But then maybe manager say, hey, I think you should do COT. Yeah, you should do lah. Right? Why so wasted? Right? You're so near already. Blah, 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 whatever it is. And then you decide to yourself like, okay lor. Then you start to justify. You start to justify. I mean, since I'm already halfway there, I might as well. Right? That kind of stuff. Yeah. Those are goals that are not yours. Or at least you didn't decide wholeheartedly that you want to achieve these goals. Make sense? And so that's what you mean by goals are not yours. Now, I'll give you a second one. A second variation of this, right? Goals are not yours. Which is, this one is a bit more subtle and you guys might not even be aware of it, right? Which is, the goals that you're going for, the result of social obligations. Meaning to say, okay? And I think this is appropriate for me to share a story. So, there's this advisor and, we were talking and basically this advisor was saying that, he felt a bit burnt out, felt a bit, the energy very low. Like one die, that kind, like half dead, Yeah. And it's actually earning decent money, right? 3-4K FYC a month, right? Decent money with the schemes and everything else. Pretty decent. Now, when I asked him, he asked a question, right? And then his question was like, hey Ben, how do I not get burnt out? How do I not feel so like low energy? Because it feels like I'm dreading my day-to-day. And after a bit of long and I asked a few questions to really understand deeper. And I asked him this question, right? Everything came to light when I asked him this question. I said, hey, what are your goals? Like, why did you join the industry? In fact, I just asked, like, why did you join the industry? And he said, because I don't want to do a corporate job. That's one. Okay, fair. Number two, he said this. And also, my parents are getting older. I need to help them retire and pay off their bills. That's the second reason. Now, on all counts, if you just hear reasons like that, and especially in this industry, it's pretty much glorified. Oh, think about family, you got to retire them, that's what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. On all counts, it seems noble, it seems fine, and it seems like goals that you want. Problem is this. I understood this and I asked him, I said, okay, so beyond family, right? Beyond retiring my parents, which obviously you want to be a filial son, that's of course. What are your own goals? What are your own personal goals? And he looked at me as though I'm asking him, is he gay? He would just give a shocked look. And I replied, I don't have any of my personal goals. And I look at him, I'm like, no cars that you like, no house, no whatever it is that you want. And then he was like, I've never really thought about it. And then I asked him, I said, well, what kind of life will you be living when you wake up every day just to pay off someone's bills? How will you feel? Waking up every day to wake up to pay bills. Come, let me ask you guys a question. If you guys wake up every day just to pay bills, pay this lah, pay that lah, pay this person healthcare lah, then how do you guys feel? You do that every day. It's not wrong, correct? It's not wrong. We have obligations, sure. But how do you guys feel every day working hard? Imagine saying, why you want to get COT? I want to get COT because I want to pay off family bills. Wow. Not wrong. That makes sense. The action in of itself is not wrong. It's a responsibility, yes, that we take on ourselves. But if you look at inside, you guys will feel trapped. Feel like you have no choice. Make sense? Feel like you feel like you're carrying all these things and you're working hard to pay off and to get rid of this burden. How to not get burnt out? Make sense? And so this is what I mean when I was saying that these are not necessarily goals that are yours. Like these are just obligations that you're trying to pay off or that you're trying to fulfill, right? These are social obligations they're trying to fulfill, but these are not your goals. Make sense? And so this is very important, right? And this is one of the biggest reasons why people burn out. And therefore, going back to your mental energy and mental state, vision and goals. What are your goals? Why you want to do it? Okay, I can tell you for sure though. Repeat it once again. If you are setting your goals because you want to, I don't know, make sure you can pay the bills every month, that's a sad life. You might as well go and do corporate, right? Because then you have more certainty in paying the bills every single month. The reason why all of us come in this industry is because we want to enjoy our life and earn more money. Agree or agree? Yes, we want to do more than just paying the bills. We want to make sure that bills are not a problem. We want to make sure that we are hitting our goals, the goals of having a better life, going on business class, right? Making sure that it's different. It's different. Like if, especially if you have family, right, or spouse, etc. You don't want to wake up to work hard to pay the bills for your family. You do not want to think of it that way. You want to wake up to create a better future for your family by making sure that they have more than enough of whatever things that they need. Make sense? It's totally different viewpoint. Okay? Because if you only wake up to just pay bills, then your drive will only match the amount of bills you have to pay. I repeat, if you only wake up to just pay bills, then the drive that you have to work will only match the ceiling of the bills you're going to pay. If you got to pay 7K every month, right? Let's say you say, oh, Ben, my expenses for family 7K or my partner 7K every month. Great. Then you know what happens? You're just working every day. You just earn 7K to pay all the bills. Yes? No, you want to think of a future. The future would be, hey, you know what? I want to bring my family do X, Y, Z, right? I want to bring them stay in this hotel. I want to make sure that they can buy whatever food that they want to do, etc., etc. And therefore, I need 20K. Yeah, that's a better way to think about it. Because that future should excite you. The goal should excite you, not burden you. That makes sense. The goals that you all have should and must excite you. It should not feel like a burden. If it feels like a burden, how are you not going to get burnt out? How are you not going to feel frustrated and reluctance in achieving your goals? Yes? Yeah. Okay? And so, this is why mental energy is very important. Because mentally, you're just thinking of waking up, sian, I need to do X, Y, Z. You know? And that's why, how many of you love hitting KPIs? How many of you love hitting KPIs? Woo, man, woo, I'm hitting my MAP, my GS, woo, right? No, the thing here is this, right? It's like, we set goals so that we can achieve them, yes. But if you're just setting, think about it. So sad, right? Imagine you come into this industry, you say that you want to earn money so that, instead of, you want to earn money so you can have a better life, right? You want to earn money so that you can validate your scheme. So what it means, right? It feels like there's someone that's putting on a jail card on you. That's like, you got to hit this, if not, you will get kicked out and you will feel sad, right? And then you're chasing after that like carrot. You know what I mean? Yeah. Again, it's not that wrong. It's just that if you want to talk about sustainability, which is what everybody wants here, right? Sustainability in doing, sustainability in making sure you have more money, these are the energy and all the practices that we are talking about that we have to do. Now, how does this relate so much more importantly in this quarter? Because if you have a 50K FYC goal, right, you don't want to make that hang over your head, as though if you don't hit it, you will fail. You want it to be like, shit, if I hit 50K, what am I going to do with the money? How many of you thought of, ask this question? Wow, shit, if I hit my MDRT, wow, shit, what am I going to do with the money? It's like, oh, I'm going to buy this and that. How often do you guys think of your goals this way? Like, how often? Never, jialat. How many of you will be like, oh, you know, I earn my money already, like, what am I going to spend on? How am I reaching towards my goal? Am I reaching my freedom? Am I doing all these things? Your mental energy of your goals and the clarity of your goals needs to be like, this is what I want, and I'm going to work hard to get there because I want to enjoy that shit. I want to have this. Like, it should excite you, right? Because at the end of the day, like, having more money in the bank will be good when you have no money. But once you cross a certain amount in the bank, it's not going to motivate you to do even more. Make sense? Now, some of you, all of us, when we first started, no money in the bank, right? We have started from round zero. So it's about we chiong because the only way is up. However, once you get a certain level where you have earning decent, you have earning ability, not bad, it's, wow, do 20K a month. I don't know, leh. Wow, 20K a month means I need 15 appointments a week. Wow, means I'm quite shag. I think I'm good with 6, 7K. Because there's no more drive to want to earn more money. So money is never the goal. What you want to achieve and what you want to experience, write this down. What you want to achieve and what you want to experience should be the goals that you're going for. Not money. Money is merely a medium for you to achieve those goals. Yes? That's basically the whole idea and the whole point that you guys should reframe the thinking like that because they excite you to get to the goal. So guys, go for the goals and earn it. Okay, cool. So that's basically it. Okay, just to recap, we talk about is energy management. And in any energy management, there are 3 things, right? Physical, emotional, and mental. And specifically in Q4, I want you guys to start thinking of, okay, how to make sure you have exercise, make sure you take care of your sleep and also your food. And then number 2, emotionally get rid of all the drama and all the bullshit that's happening in your life. Cut it out. If you cannot cut it out forever, no worries, cut it out for this quarter. Okay, cut it out for this quarter. Because every time there's drama, it saps energy away from you. That's number 2. Number 3, make sure you have mental clarity of your goals. And like I mentioned, think about your next 30K FYC that you want to earn in this quarter, or 50K, or whatever it is you want to earn, right? What are you going to reward yourself with once you earn that money? Think about that, right? Because that brings you a lot more positive energy as well. Cool? Okay, so that's for energy management.